Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is to draw the walls. So to draw the walls, what we'll need to do is go back to plan. So I've pressed F2 to go back to plan. Because I've marqueed this area, I'm just going to press escape to deselect the marquee. Now the roof is already drawn, and when you draw the walls, the walls need to be offset by, say, 100 mil. Okay, but according to the picture, there is a very small eave overhang of, say, 100 mil. Now, I discussed in an earlier video that when you are drawing the roof, you have this option to nominate an eave overhang, which we specifically made 0 because we were drawing the roof first, and not how you would typically draw the roof, which would be after you draw the walls. So when you're building your building, the typical way to build your building in ArchiCAD is to construct it from the ground up. So that would mean, obviously, that you would draw the walls and then you draw the roof on top. And at that time, you could specify in the roof default settings the eave overhang if, for example, you're drawing using the multiplane geometry, okay, which is the offset here. Now, because we drew the roof first, because that is the information that's available to us from the aerial view, we need to work backwards slightly, which is when we draw the walls, we must offset inwards by 100 mil. Now, what we could do is draw a construction line that is 100 mil within the boundary of the roof footprint. Okay, so I'm just indicatively drawing a line that is 100 mil in, but that's not the quickest way. The quickest way would be to draw the wall, snap to the edge of the footprint of the roof with the assistance of an offset drafting aid. So the offset drafting aid can be collected or can be shown by toolbars and then drafting aids. So I went to Windows, toolbars, and then drafting aids, and up pops a little dialog box which will allow us to drop down at this point to, drop down this one which says offset constraint. So we have to activate this offset constraint, go into our wall, double click our wall, and put in our wall default settings. So we're going to make this wall very tall because we want the wall, at this stage we don't know what the wall height is, but we want the wall to extend over and above the roof so that we can use an additional function in ArchiCAD called trim to roof, which will then trim the wall excess that is over and above the roof planes so that there is a very neat finish between where the wall meets the roof. The thickness of the wall is going to be, say, 150. Okay, so this is just an estimate, and it doesn't need to be a particularly accurate estimate because this is not the building that we are submitting to council. We are drafting this building to demonstrate in our 3D model and also therefore in our drawings the bulk of the neighbors on either side. Okay, so we're just going to leave it as empty fill. I'll change the color to a very generic color, so say generic wall external. And then the RL to project 0 is going to be, because if you remember from our site survey, all the RLs are around the 100,000 mark, so we're going to make it at least 100,000. Okay, and then we're going to just make sure that it's on the correct layer, which should be site context, and then press OK. Now, notice my cursor is primed with the offset constraint function. So when I'm drawing, I can begin to draw the wall. It's best to draw the wall using this polyline method, polyline geometry wall, and draw anti-clockwise. Okay, so ArchiCAD prefers you to draw the walls anti-clockwise. Okay, so make sure you are snapped to the edge of the roof. Okay, so I'm going to close that. So once it's closed, then what ArchiCAD does, it says, well, now tell me what the offset distance should be. So I'm just moving in the direction of the offset. If I wanted to offset in this direction, I could too, but I'm going in this direction to offset to accommodate for the eave overhang. So I'm going to then press tab and press 100 and then enter. Okay, so notice then there is this very neat offset that is a distance of 100 mil from the edge of the roof footprint. So if we look in 3D now, and I'm just going to marquee around the neighbor and press F5, then we've got this very tall walls which go over and above the roof planes. So what we want to do now is select the walls, and make sure suspend groups is inactive, and then go to design and then crop to single roof. Okay, it used to be called trim to wall, trim roof to wall, but now it's called crop to single roof plane. So we'll just go click and then go crop element top and then go crop. Okay, so what that does then is it will fix the walls so that they are cropped to below the roof line. Okay, and if you notice, there's a little bit of a hole just there by the nature of how this wall is cropped to these roofs, but we'll just leave those and attend to those in a later tutorial, because all I really want to achieve for the neighbors at this stage is the bulk. Okay, the bulk of the volume massing of the building itself. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do then is to look at the windows and to put the windows in to the side of the building that faces onto our project.